as a kid, I never really knew what I wanted to do for a living so much. I mean, I'm sure I had like the ideas of I wanted to be a policeman or I wanted to be like a CEO, but what I really wanted to be is I wanted to be like Popeye, and I wanted to be like Peter Pan. You know, it's like I am who I am, so I need to one, figure out what that is, but I need to not apologize for that, and then I need to stay youthful in my thinking and not just be oppressed by like everybody saying, well, you can't do those kinds of things. I need to be able to say, well, no, I can. I just need to put my mind to it. One of the things that I actually promised my first employee, one of the reasons I was able to get him on board, was we were going to do some websites, but what we really wanted to do was build our own product. And building our own product was something that I think a lot of us aspire to. I think a lot of people kind of aspire just to be able to build their own thing, but they'll do a lot of this stuff kind of like their day job just to kind of to get by. We happen to have a lot of fun with our day jobs, so that was just this constant conflict, but we did want to build something that we felt scalable, something that it just took our opinion. It didn't necessarily have to be something we had to ask a client permission for. And so Downstream was just one of those things where it started solving kind of like a pain point that we were starting to experience, whereas we were using all these cloud services. You know, so all of our time tracking software was in a tool called Harvest. So if it went down or if it wasn't available for some reason, I couldn't send out our bills. I had no idea how many hours people worked, even who are all of our clients maybe were at a given time. And so that was something that, you know, backing that information up. Also, you know, my wife has a lot of Flickr photos, and you know, for those to go down, that'd be a big pain. So that was something where we wanted to be able to have this kind of peace of mind of actually having ownership of our data without having to build a lot of our own tools. We wanted to continue using all these kind of SaaS services, I guess. And this is something we've actually been thinking about since 2008. But we just got busy. We had client work. We were helping other kind of ideas start up and grow. And Momentum comes around, and it was our first year, and we thought, well, that's pretty sweet. We really like the idea, and what better way to really focus on our idea than to have accountability around that. And so we applied to a Momentum. We were lucky enough to get accepted, and at that point, you don't really have a lot of options. You know, you're being told to kind of go on stage, talk in front of sometimes between 20 people to 100 people about what you're doing. And so there's this not only just this individual accountability, but also this community accountability of we've made this announcement that we're going to start this company that solves this problem. And that just really forced us to start focusing on that. As we started spending more time on it, we started getting more and more excited about it. And as our kind of client work ended up kind of slowing down, Downstream ended up picking up a lot more. So we were able to get an initial round of funding through some local sources, and that allowed us just to put some full-time focus on it, kind of in the latter part of 2010. So that's kind of where we are right now. Having a product and having it be your own is something that it's just dramatically different than being a project company or being a service company. And I want to say a service company I don't want to say that's easy, because it's definitely got its own level of stress, but you have outside levels of accountability. So you have a client that's going to call you and say, where's my stuff? Or you've got a pretty traditional process, and you're not having to fund any of that. You get client dollars to fund your kind of your endeavors, you could say, and you make a profit off of that pretty quickly, usually within 30 to 60 days, and you just keep going. Building your own product is just it's just a completely different mindset, and I don't think people understand that. And there's a big difference between an application and a business as well. I can build an application, and tons of people say, well, how hard is it just to build an app and then launch it? Well, that's easy as hell, relatively. What's hard is how do you run a business? And how do you run a business on top of an application? And there's sometimes things that we need to do as a business that don't necessarily go directly with what we're doing on an application. For us, we actually have a smaller window in the market where we have to get out really fast. Whereas some of our other ideas, like public collections, that can sit there for a few years, and odds of somebody actually solving that right away, I don't think that's going to happen. Or even if they did, it's still going to be a bigger problem later on. Whereas downstream is a very kind of tight window. So for me to hit that tight window, it's hard for me to really bootstrap that. It's something that I actually need to get some investors and partners to really help kind of give kind of like the rocket fuel to get there. Well, that doesn't just happen accidentally necessarily, at least not in Michigan. And so, not only do I have to go talk to these people and articulate the value of our company, which is just its own challenge, but then if they say yes, I got to figure out, well, then how do I legally pull them into the company? And is it just too messy? Because if it's too messy, legally to figure all that out, like how do I give out shares, or if I'm an LLC versus a C Corp, what are my stock option plans? Do I have kind of like, a pool of, stocks kind of set aside? These are all things I'm trying to figure out. And that just takes a lot of work. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, you kind of say, well, how hard is it just to launch a Twitter backup tool? Well, it's actually really easy. It's really hard to launch kind of a company that focuses on retention and aggregation of cloud data. That's a lot harder. So I have been starting to travel a little bit more and went to Boulder, Colorado, and had a great time there. There wasn't VCs running around in fields throwing out money, and I looked. However, what there was is within a few minutes, I was able to shoot an email to investors, and that next morning I was able to have coffee with them and just talk to them about what I was doing. They were able to start giving me some pros and cons, and it wasn't a matter of I was having to pitch them. I just had a conversation with them as an individual. I don't have that here. There's a lot of investors that are kind of in the ivory towers here that it's just frustrating and it's disappointing. And I think that's something that West Michigan needs to figure out. And it doesn't mean that everyone's like that. It's nothing against everybody individually, but I think that there's a different mindset in different parts of the country. And for someone that's in web tech, that's a much faster space than like a life science. You have to be able to have conversations with people. You have to be able to work with people, and not all of it's a matter of I only want to interact with you when I need money. I just need to interact with you because you're a smart individual, and I'm trying to grow a company. I could use your advice, and if it makes sense for us to partner together, even better. Yeah, stay young, stay open to new opportunities, and try new things. And if you're not scared, then you're not doing anything of value. You need to be scared shitless all the time. And as long as you're moving forward, we kind of have this mantra of fail fast forward. Just do something and have the freedom that you are making some progress.